welcome to the ShowRatings.tv Pilot Roundtable, a Southgate media podcast. My name is Kyle Tremblay, and I'm the editor-in-chief at ShowRatings.tv, a user-driven television review website. Visit us online at www.showratings.tv and follow us on Twitter at ShowRatingsTV. Today's Pilot Roundtable show is Undateable. According to NBC's website, from Bill Lawrence and Adam Seitzkel, Undateable is a new comedy series about a group of friends who are this close to finding a relationship. They just need a little help. Here to talk about Undateable is a ShowRatings.tv writer who covers Once Upon a Time, Under the Dome, and writes a weekly column called Are You Serious?, making her second podcast appearance of the week. Olivia Richards, welcome back.
Hey, good to be back.
Oh, good to be back talking to you in this trying time.
Everything hurts. It hurts so much.
It hurts. Can we play the REM song Everybody Hurts in full at this moment? Can we insert that into the podcast?
I'm like waving my lighter around and just crying.
I think we need to set the right tone here. At the very least, we can put some sad piano music under the whole podcast. Because you and I, minutes ago, finished watching the first not one but two episodes of Undateable.
Should we get like an award for this? I think we should get an award for this.
I mean, is a Medal of Honor too strong? Or
I don't think
no?
so.
Should we?
Medal of Valor or something?
Yeah.
I don't know.
The Purple Heart? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, whatever the president's highest honor is that can be bestowed upon civilians, I feel like we deserve it for sitting through a full hour of what is, wow, a quote-unquote comedy that is on NBC.
It's a very, very loose term.
Yeah. So to set the scene for this, Krista Elia, the star of this show, formerly an actor on Whitney, spoke out against the hashtag #YesAllWomen this week. Did you see that, Olivia?
I did, and Blair's been talking about it on Twitter, so that's been fun. My phone's been exploding for like the past half hour.
Yeah. So he was sort of mocking it with his tweets, and then he went on to explain his position, describing it as terrible that a lot of people are tweeting about it. And I'm sure you can Google his name and find the whole quote. But so that's the setting for this show, and I feel like it's appropriate given the content of the show. Because this show, I mean, I think this show hates everyone, but it certainly hates women, right?
I made a list of things that I've learned from this show, and most of it is incredibly misogynistic. So it's great being a woman watching this show and knowing that you're not being represented in a positive light for a full hour. It's
absolutely.
Great.
Can we go through that list?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, yes.
Number one, wearing a pink bra or wearing a bikini means you're an idiot.
Yeah. And that was a woman on the show delivering that line, which is real cool by the writers.
Oh, it's awesome. It's nice to know that we're getting pitted against one another. It's fantastic.
It's not even giving because the main character is portrayed as sort of a meathead, but he's not even the one saying that. It's his sister on the show who's making that assumption. So the show won't even give the meatheaded characters all the misogynistic lines. So that's great.
Nope. We're already off to a great start. It's fantastic.
There was also a line also delivered by the sister about how she has one good bra that she wore and one good thong that she wore. And it was like 5 lines apart. It's like, oh, okay. There was a lot of upsetting underwear talk in this episode.
Right? I was like, first of all, $80 on a bra? Like, really? Just from a girl perspective, right off the bat, we're failing epically.
Well, I think the whole story was she spent $80 on a bra. She wore her $80 bra in order to show off to men, of course.
Oh, of course.
And then she was desperate, as most women are.
Yep.
And so she went home with a guy that she didn't really want to go home with, and then he wouldn't sleep with her, so she failed. As a woman, she failed her central duty as a woman. And that's where we are.
She disgraced the whole gender, and now none of us can talk to her. We're actually like forming a secret society against her.
Yeah. No, it's like a Scarlet Letter situation.
Oh, it's bad. She has to wear her Scarlet Letter right on her bra, so everyone knows.
Her $80 bra. All right. Item number 2 on your list.
Racism is apparently hilarious.
So funny. At least to that studio audience / laugh track.
Mostly the laugh track. I was actually watching with my mom, and she's like, "That's the worst laugh track I've ever heard."
I feel like I thought it was so bad that it had to be a live audience that they were like beefing up with a laugh track because if that was if that was a laugh track, then it's the worst in the history of television. Like it was so bad. I feel like it couldn't have been faked. Like they had to have been like this was mind-boggling the way the audience reacted to what was happening on screen.
It was almost like a Scooby Doo situation where like literally nothing's happening, and the
Yeah,
laugh track just comes in, and you're like, "There's nothing happening right
yeah.
now."
There was every time the lead of this show, who we introduced earlier, a real peach. Um, every time he did physical comedy, as he is wont to do, like some kind of like he impersonated a goldfish at one point, I think. The audience laughed as if this was Eddie Murphy on Raw. Like he was delivering ground, like he was inventing a new method of comedy. Um, I mean, it was like raucous laughter, like standing ovation laughter. Every single bit of physical comedy he did.
I can't. I mean, I just watched the Don Rickles comedy special, and I was
Yeah.
like, okay, there's comedy, and then there's what I just watched for an
Yes.
hour. There's like a very distinct difference between the two.
Yeah. This was something else. I don't exactly know what to call this other than hate. Hate with a laugh track, maybe.
Like hell,
Hell,
heist.
north of the wall, I believe I called it on Twitter.
Yeah, that was good. That was a good one.
Seems like it's just bleak and dire and rocky and avalanches and I mean it
If
just
there's, yeah, I think Dante's Inferno had that scene where they're all gathering around to watch the show in the ninth circle of hell, like in Satan's mouth. It's great.
yes. I think that's accurate.
I think that's an accurate depiction.
Yeah, I think we're getting close to covering what actually the experience of watching this show was. Do you have more items on your list? Because I
I
like going through
do.
these.
Oh, I have a list.
Oh, thank goodness.
The next one is it's the 1950s question mark exclamation point.
Yeah.
Did not realize that homophobia, sexism, and racism were still really
So
relevant, hilarious topics in 2014. It took
super
me
relevant.
right back to I reminded myself I had to go clean the kitchen because my husband's gonna come home and he
I
he
mean,
needs his martini. So
yeah.
it's really bad. I'm really behind on that work.
Absolutely. I mean, you got to get to it. This is
I know.
this
I know. I'm
is
not even wearing my pumps right now, and
oh
it's
my
just
gosh.
it's bad.
Olivia, how would you ever fit in on the world of this show? I mean,
I I don't know.
this this is distressing. Yeah, speaking of relevance, there was an ET joke in this.
Yep.
An ET joke about uteruses, no less, which is great. Um,
Awesome.
and also a Keanu Reeves impression. So we're really nailing the 2014 relevance.
They're like pop culture. If we put pop culture on top of these horrible jokes, then people can't be offended because
Yeah,
there's this goofy guy doing impressions.
but pop culture from the 80s and the early 2000s. it's, like, it's not even like jokes about Twitter. Like this is a world where like they didn't even try to reach out to 2014. Like these are jokes for people whose pop culture references are at least 2 decades old.
I That's the thing. I'm not sure what the demographic of this show is because I mean, first of all, it's horrible,
Yeah,
but also it's like again, like yeah, if it's supposed to be trendy and hip,
it's not.
where was
This
it?
is this seems like a show for the guys who live out in the desert and are against the Yes All Women hashtag. Like this is a show for like roving bands of guys with biker mustaches. Like this is this is the show that they're watching. Like the bad guys are watching in Roadhouse. Like this is. I mean, it's I can't even I can't even fathom what this is. It
I
it's
I
yeah.
don't know. It's just dismal, just awful.
Miserable. It made me feel grimy. It made me feel ashamed for my gender. Um, and and upset. And by the end of it, like I couldn't even tweet it. I was just I literally had my head in my hands because I was just depressed.
My mom and I were sitting there, and she's like, "The best part of this show is the commercial breaks."
Yeah.
That was like, "Mom, you are nailing it."
See that for me that was the worst because that was the reflection time. That was the time when the big questions started to at like what am I doing with my life? This is an hour of the time that I have on Earth, the limited time that I have on Earth, that I'm spending watching this, and I feel like I'm becoming dumber. I feel like
I
that. I feel like this is hurting me.
pieces of me are slipping away
Yeah.
as this.
Yes, I believe at one point you said you felt your soul leaving your body.
I felt I almost had like an existential experience watching this. It just happened where I could see my physical body watching the show, and my soul was like, "But we need to do other things. We can transcend this." And it
Yes.
just no. I was sitting on the couch eating Cheetos and tweeting about this horrible show.
Right. The ideal time to have an existential crisis. um, yeah, I was tweeting with Blair and someone else whose Twitter handle I sadly don't remember, so shout out to them, um, about this show. If it wasn't so sincere about its jokes, if it didn't actually think they were funny, it was pretty close to satire. This could have been, with a few tweaks, a series that was making fun of multi-camera sitcoms because the jokes were so hacky. Like, it doesn't take a lot to turn an ET reference from a sincere attempt at a joke into a joke that's making fun of that kind of joke. You know, like it
Exactly.
could have been satire. Like, this was, if you took this material and put someone and gave it to a writer who was like in touch with reality, with pop culture, with how humans behave and how the world works. This could have been very easily converted into something that was like poking fun at the very idea of a multi-camera sitcom. It's much closer to that than it is to something that is genuinely funny in any way.
I'm picturing like a boardroom, but like of aliens sitting around writing this, and they're like, "We watched this one sitcom, and this is how Earth laughs," and then they're like trying to piece this thing together. And
Yeah.
meanwhile, on planet Earth, where like humans live and have enjoyment in their lives,
Yes. Where happiness exists.
I'm sitting here watching this, like everything I've ever enjoyed has been sucked out of my
Yeah.
body.
Yeah. It's such a miserable look at the world. Like, it's that ethos from like an 80s teen sex comedy about how everything is sex, or like that American Pie sort of turned on its head in the kind of satirical way that I was just saying, that like it's sort of self-aware and poking fun at itself. But this is taking that in a very sincere direction, like the idea that life is sex and that everything is that, and women are best when they're desperate. And it's
Oh,
like
exactly.
it's
Oh, and
so
they had to sneak
disconnected.
in like the daddy issues joke because that's like the
Oh, of
biggest
course,
thing. They're
of
always like,
course.
"Oh yeah, like what's your relationship with like your father?" I'm like, in real life, if anybody actually broached that in a bar,
Yeah,
like, are you
that's
kidding me? Like, no, you would end up with a drink over your head or like on the floor because somebody kneed you in the crotch. Like, you don't just bring that up casually.
and I should say, the woman very dutifully answered the question. I never met my dad,
Yeah,
and
so seriously.
yes, and his response was, "Would you like to?" Which was what? What the hell?
Again, that was that moment where my soul just floated away.
Yeah,
And it's like, I'm done with you.
yeah. And every woman on this show is like such a male construct. Like, this is what a woman, like the girl at the bar who is inexplicably interested in the guy that keeps like checking out from wanting to date her, and she's just so like dutifully uh uh coming back to him, and she invites him to a movie at the end. Like, it's so like it's so transparent that this is a projected male fantasy
Oh,
on
I
screen.
can't. I can't. Not only that, but just the male relationships in general on this show.
Yeah.
They were just like, "Oh yeah, I can't talk about my feelings. We're just gonna drink beer and talk about bikinis and women and don't date my sister and blah blah blah." I'm just like, "Oh my god, like, is this how like
Yeah.
things work?" I don't understand. I don't think I've ever had a conversation like this with people, and thank God for that.
And I can assure you that I haven't, and I don't know any guys who have, because that's not how guys talk. That's
That's not
that's not how the world
healthy
works.
or normal.
That bikini line you mentioned. See, I was writing down quotes throughout the episode before I gave up and just gave into the sadness and stopped doing anything. But that quote about the bikini was the guy was talking to his other guy friend, and he was furious because the guy friend wanted to talk about his feelings. And so he was describing his own thought process. It's like, "Hey, is that a hot girl in a bikini? What's her story? She doesn't have one. She's just a hot girl in a bikini. Super cool way to look at women."
That's what I was saying. I even put a tweet out. I was like, oh man, I should probably go burn all my bikinis because I think I'm just a passive object now. Like it
Oh,
means, obviously.
I mean, if you're a hot girl in a bikini, you can't have a story. That's
Clearly, no. All you are is your isolated body parts. You're not a whole person.
And what about the pregnancy joke in the first episode about he thinks the woman's pregnant and and then tells her she looks pregnant and then tells her
Oh, yeah,
that
she's glowing.
yeah, she's glowing and then he's just like I just wanted to say something to you so I could talk to your friend. Like cool. Cool
I'm
way to
like,
treat women.
I can't. Like, there are so many thoughts I could have, but I just can't have them anymore. I'm literally incapable of having thoughts because this happened.
Yeah. I feel like it's devolving because just like my experience watching the show, because you just talk about it and it just becomes a deep pool of sadness. It's sad. I mean, there was in the first episode, about 10 minutes in, there's a sincere line that the lead guy says to his roommate, which is, "You think I came out of my mom's womb just crushing ass?" And I was like, "Wait, that wasn't a joke. That was played sincerely."
I was serious.
That's what? since, I can't even address that.
And
Like,
it's like it's all coming out again at the time that we finally are like, oh yeah, like hashtag we have our like yes all women
yes.
hashtag campaign going on, and then this happened, and it's like, why are we even trying anymore?
Well, I mean, I don't want to be too lofty about this very stupid show's place that NBC clearly knows is terrible because it's burning them off 2 per night during the summer.
Exactly.
So NBC kind of knew what it was getting into. Um, but this is just a small manifestation of the culture that the yes all women thing is fighting against, because this is like that perception personified as a sitcom. You know, this is what it is. This is how the culture reinforces the mindset that that's fighting against. Like, so it's almost perfectly timed because we're seeing it in action. Like, this is it. This is the smallest manifestation of what that is, and of why people
Exactly.
think that way.
Oh man, no, this show is definitely a microaggression that is
Right.
aired every, whatever Thursday night. I just,
Twice a week.
oh Lord.
Yeah. Um. it- Other issues? Did we did we cover it?
Next one on the list is a show can be built purely around stereotypes.
Yes.
No
Absolutely.
one was safe. There were jokes about disabilities, substance abuse,
Ooh.
racism, homophobia, misogyny,
It,
women in general. Like they hit like menopause and pregnancy.
it really hit all the bingo squares. It really. Yeah, the menopause joke I wrote down because that was upsetting. Um, Killer punchline, by the way. Menopause. It's killer. But yeah, I mean,
Yay.
yeah, this is the old. I think Seth MacFarlane at one point made the argument that if I'm making fun of everybody, then it's not racist, sexist, or homophobic if everyone's the target. Which no, it just means you're all of those
No, it
things.
just means that you just hit all of the
Yeah,
home runs.
right. You could be all. It's not mutually exclusive. You could be sexist and homophobic. There's no law against that. And
Like having like, brownie points, just keep putting badges on.
yeah, oh, they got so many get glue badges or TV
Like
tag, I guess.
right. Like a racism merit badge. There you go. Just keep getting that. Win like a free mug at the end.
Like those tweets you see in people's feeds, like I just got the watching Bones badge. Watching this show should be just like God. I got the I'm a racist badge.
And it's like, and then they get away with it because it's like, oh no, he's fine. He has a black friend. And I'm like,
Yeah,
ah.
he has one black friend and he has one gay friend, and so all the bases are covered. It's cool.
Nobody
Everything's
can be
fine.
angry at him. They're best friends.
They are so chill. Why does the gay friend have an English accent? What I'm always confused by accents on shows that are set. Like where's the backstory? Is he
Is there one? Like, can there possibly be a backstory at this point?
no.
And would it matter?
No. There can't be. Um did you take anything positive away? A question that I can't even ask with a straight face.
The last item on my list
Yes.
literally says I'm dead inside. So no,
No.
no, I didn't.
No.
Positive thing that can come out of the show is that it's going to end eventually.
True, and quicker than it would otherwise, because again, they're airing twice a night per each week, so
They're just trying to let it run its course.
they're trying to accelerate its demise, which I guess is a silver lining. I will say, to keep this from being the dark, well, this is already the darkest podcast we've ever done, but to keep it, to just give it a little bit of light, I do like the aforementioned black guy, Ron Funches, the comedian. I feel like he's really funny, and whatever small giggles I had at this pilot were from lines that he said. And I feel like he, on a better show, could actually be like a good member of the cast, and he's just been given material that is not good. But he could be that guy who says silly things. I'm confident in that. He could do that on a better show.
Right.
That's all. That's all I have. I have no other positives.
You're better than me already.
Listen, I'm trying to bring the sunlight back into my life.
I know. I'm sitting here like, okay, well, the sun's gonna rise tomorrow, and
Yeah.
the show won't be on for another week. So,
And we don't have to watch it. We're not gonna change this into a undateable podcast.
nope,
So this is all we have to watch.
we're free.
Um, on the scale of terrible shows this year, I think this is the better conversation to have. On the scale of terrible shows, of which I would put this in the category of dads and mixology.
Oh yes.
Um, better, worse, same. Where we? Let's do power rankings of awful, humanity-destroying shows this year with dads, mixology, and Undateable. What do you have?
Ah man, it's really a spectrum.
Yeah, it's tough. I'm asking the hard questions.
I'd say it's about on par. It didn't really do anything that was any worse. It was just they did more of the same thing.
Yeah, I would say of those three, dads is the least offensive. I feel like dads is just very bad, but almost conventionally bad. This was a different kind of bad, and so is mixology. Those two shows are like make you hate yourself bad.
Right.
In the laugh track slash live audience in this one, I think made it worse. I think
Definitely.
listening to people laugh at these jokes rather than just having them sort of sit there like they do in a single cam, um, somehow added to the misery. It's just like hearing someone say a horrible punchline that not only is like deeply misogynistic, but is also completely unfunny. And then hearing people laugh at it is like an extra sad experience.
It hurt
Yeah.
places I didn't know I had inside of me, so that was a unique experience.
Well, yeah. This oh boy. This is miserable. In every podcast we asked who might like this show. Like if you comparisons, like other shows that if you like them, you'll might like this. I mean, is it Dads and Mixology? Is that the audience that we're looking for here?
I think it would have to be because you couldn't go from watching something like, oh man, I really like Parks and Rec and things like
Yeah.
30 Rock, and then be like, oh man, but there's this awesome new show on. I should watch it.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like the Venn diagram between Parks and Rec fans and people who liked the Undateable pilot are two circles on opposite sides of the universe. Like there couldn't possibly be any overlap between those.
Oh, it's like Sandra Bullock like floating out into space. That's where the other one is.
And mixology is spaceship debris, or this show Undateable is spaceship debris. About to hit her ship. Yeah, this is. I mean, I guess if you, I mean, maybe like some of the CBS sitcoms, the multicam CBS sitcoms, like Two and a Half Men, kind of, which does a better like every Two and a Half Men joke is about sex, but that show at least does a little bit more effective job of not just being blatantly misogynistic the way that this is.
They layer it in.
Yeah, they layer it in, right? It's built, it's more baked in to where if you're not really like analyzing it, you're not going to pick up on it. This was just out there in the open. Um, so yeah, I guess if you're a fan of the most broad of the CBS sitcoms, and you dug mixology, and you kind of hate the Yes All Women hashtag, throw all those in a blender. If that's you, then
Make yourself a nice misogyny smoothie and just enjoy it on your sun deck or whatever.
then we've got a show for you.
Garnish it with some racism. You're good.
All right. I am not going to insult either of us by doing a thumbs up or thumbs down rating for this one. Um, I'm not even gonna rate it because we've given thumbs down to some shows that are not terrible, and to group this in with those shows would be a crime against television. So
Yep.
we're gonna pass on the ratings for this one, and just sit in a dark room for the rest of the night.
Just call it a night on that one.
Let's call it a night. Thanks, Olivia, for being here and talking talking me through this. And hopefully,
Absolutely. I was here mostly for moral support.
hopefully, we worked out some feelings on this show, as the wounds are still very fresh. Again, we watched it like an hour ago. Now,
Yep.
all right. How can people keep up with you?
I am at Richards Olivia on Twitter.
Yes, and you are writing about stuff on showratings.tv.
Yes, I am. I am currently waiting for the premiere of Under the Dome on June 30th.
Yes, is this going to be your Are You Serious for the week?
It's a close candidate. It is making my list.
Yes, you. I should tell the listeners that you write a delightful column called "Are You Serious," where you take something silly um, or ridiculous from the week in television. Normally, it doesn't get this dark, but
Nope.
normally it's like about The Bachelorette or something fun. But you might have to tackle this because it's a thing that happened.
It's gonna happen.
It requires being addressed. All right, so that concludes this episode of the ShowRatings.tv Pilot Roundtable. We invite you to check out this and other Southgate Media Group podcasts at southgatemediagroup.com and to read about, rate, and discuss all your favorite shows at ShowRatings.tv. You can follow me on Twitter at KyleLovesTV, Olivia at RichardsOlivia, and ShowRatings at ShowRatingsTV. Until next time, I've been Kyle Tremblay. Thanks for listening.